Right, hey guys, how are we doing? I thought Marineford arc was absolutely goddamn incredible. So I am really intrigued to see what Mark has to say on this. And we're also covering post-war arc as well. So let's just get straight into it, because this is a bit of a long video.
This video is sponsored by Surfshark. This arc is incredible.
There we go. Just like I said.
This series over my time reviewing it is that words are cheap. This arc acts as the climax to well over 500 chapters worth of build-up and storytelling.
There's so much built up for it, and then it's just
the likes of which most stories never even dream of.
I did not expect what happened to Ace to happen.
Incredible. It also serves
like, oh my god.
Not only is this world far more savage and ruthless than I once anticipated, not only is this story more morally gray and tragic than we once perceived, but it also emphasizes that this modern epic of a tale is still nowhere near done.
No, there's so much to happen. There's still so much.
Ready for it or not, is going to continue. I'm totally not Mark, and this is my first impressions of, thoughts on, and review for a tale that made me cheer, made me smile, made me angry, and it made me weep with despair. This is my review for the story that broke me, One Piece's greatest achievement to date, the Marineford arc.
It's so good. It's so freaking good.
This arc moves in a manner that is uniquely tense, achieved by way of not showing us the main protagonistic group at all, but by instead deciding to let the world of One Piece act as its
like Luffy's the only main character in it, isn't he? We learn about a lot of different places in this.
To the screens erected for this specific occasion. Something like this hasn't happened in One Piece to date, which serves the scene incredibly well, impressing unto us the spectacle, sense of occasion, and importance this moment means within the world it's taking place within. With bated breath, thousands, if not millions of people await the moment that will change.
Yeah, it's like, is Ace gonna die or not? Like, what's going on?
The end of an era. The execution of Fire Fist Ace.
And
with that attention-grabbing opening sequence comes one of the most illuminating revelations this series has yet unveiled. While flanked by the 3 admirals and 5 warlords at sea, Fleet Admiral Sengoku announces that the execution of Ace is incredibly important due to his parentage. His mother was revealed to be a lady by the name of Portgas D. Ruse, who resided in the South Blue, and his father, none other than the former king of the pirates,
Goldy Roger.
Gold D. Roger. This
blew my mind.
Last week I made predictions and because I thought he was Luffy's biological brother.
Yeah, turns out they're not.
All I knew about the character was that he never took the monkey name and resented his father. Therefore, I assumed he specifically didn't want to have anything to do with Dragon, and so didn't take the monkey name.
But
the same way Luffy is told not to speak about him specifically. And so, when it was revealed that Goldie Roger was in fact his biological father, I was utterly floored.
Flabbergasted. Flabbergasted.
Regarding the music design within this particular episode of the anime during this reveal is interesting to say the least.
Oh, okay.
During this specific reveal, there's more going on a musical technical.
There we go. I was like, wait, what?
It's a music technique called the leitmotif. A leitmotif is a piece of music that represents a person, place, or thing. For example, think Superman's theme or the Force theme from Star Wars.
Yeah.
These are recognized pieces of music that represent either a person or an idea. And using these leitmotifs intelligently during a long-running series like One Piece can offer a bunch in the way of adding more underlying meaning to a scene.
Yeah, I suppose it can do that, So you know it's related to something within that.
Before it's revealed that Goldie Roger is the father of Ace, we hear Roger's theme play.
Right.
Had we been listening for this, it would have been possible to predict that Roger was Ace's father simply by listening to the music,
which
is
cool.
a really fun little piece of musical design trickery. But all of that is honestly small potatoes compared to what emerges from the oceans following this. The captains of the New World and Whitebeard make their
Whitebeard. He's so cool.
The ocean in a grand fashion, setting the scene dramatically, literally making Luffy and his.
I can't believe what happened to Whitebeard happened as well. It's like we built him up so much, then just
The New World is no joke, and that Luffy could very well be out of his depth. Ace's flashback. There's a fascinating sequence of flashbacks that go through Ace's life after he left Luffy 3 years before his adventure even began. During which he turns down an offer to become a warlord of the sea.
Yeah, it was offered that, wasn't it? It's like, whoa. Because didn't Whitebeard want him to be like the king of the pirates as well?
To me, was a single panel of the manga showing his first encounter with
Shanks.
Where a brief but somewhat interesting conversation takes place. And, okay, I'm aware I could very place that has nothing to glean, but here I go anyway.
Okay.
He brings up the fact that 7 years ago, Shanks saved his brother.
Yeah.
Shanks, with this single piece of info, immediately knew who he was talking about, saying that he must be talking about Luffy,
yeah.
which tells me that Shanks might very well not be the type of person who makes a habit of saving people. Signifying to me, once again, that Luffy was specifically special for some
reason. Yeah, there's something about Luffy in there.
Was enough to give up his
Arm. Yeah,
But
Jesus
maybe I'm
Christ.
reading too much into that. Following this, there's a surprise.
No, there's definitely something there.
Of events shown to us that led him to where he is today. How he gained a reputation, assembled a crew, tried to take down Whitebeard, only to have him.
Yeah, I like that as well. Like, he was actually trying to take him down initially.
Whitebeard, whom he was ranked higher then. It's a super interesting story, but something that really stuck out to me and struck me as interesting was how Whitebeard insists that he ordered Ace to do what he did instead of Ace having gone off and done it on his own accord.
Yeah,
And
by
trust
himself.
me, to say that this arc has yet to show its hand is the understatement of the century. Not only is the best still to come, but what makes this arc one of the most spectacularly written sequences is yet to be shown. This is a war.
It is a full-on war. So much going on.
Whitebeard making massive moves, unveiling to us his incredible devil fruit power, the ability to create earthquakes. On an ocean battlefield,
It's so
this
powerful,
creates
isn't it?
our
No, it is one of
battle
the
in
most powerful
civilization.
abilities.
It's the single most destructive and impressive power that's been revealed in this series to date, which in and of itself is already full of tremendous, incredible powers. And that's not to say that we don't get introduced
We see
to
some
other
really
spectacular
freaking
powers
interesting
in
ones
this
as well,
big
yeah.
boy of an arc either. One of the main men working under Whitebeard goes by the name of Marco, and his power is incredibly cool, maybe even overpowered. As he
Yeah,
wields
so
the strength and ability
in
of
the Too
Phoenix,
Spooky video,
which
there's only
I've
2
already
people that
discussed.
have
Additionally,
that
we
type
finally
of
get to see
Devil
more
Fruit
from
ability,
Dom Flamingo, who to
if
me
I'm
has
right.
all the charisma and chaotic neutral
I
attitude
can't
needed.
wait. I'm just about to start his story
On
arc.
we see him laughing at both the misfortune and fortune of the Navy and the pirates.
He's got so much going on.
Only for things to get more interesting, demonstrating no particular allegiance other than the side that offers the most interesting outcome for him.
Yeah.
Which honestly makes for a really
Doesn't he try and kill one of the
interesting
warlords as well?
wildcard
Yeah, the guy
with
from
truly
Philbart.
curious
Yeah.
Devil Fruit abilities, offering him control of other individuals.
Yeah, his
It's
abilities like,
really
whoa.
awesome. Ending on his thoughts with this quote that I think perfectly sums up his character's nihilistic view of the world succinctly. Justice will prevail, of course it will, because the side of justice will be whichever side wins
I like that.
the war.
It's like, you know something's happened to him for him to have that kind of mentality.
It's a super interesting power struggle between the Navy and Whitebeard's forces, acting as a complex game of chess where once thought to be
Oh my god, yeah, when that guy stabs Whitebeard and he's like, yo!
or in their own best.
Oh, crocodile as well! Ah!
Hancock and Garp find themselves either actively taking action against the Navy or sitting out of this battle entirely as they have too much emotionally invested
Yeah,
in it. And
yeah.
it's through these
Oh my
unique
god.
motivations and characters we once again see One Piece's greatest strength rear its head, either through giant struggles with the
Oh, that giant was so cute! He's like, Ace, I have to save you!
tremendous level of shine and performance in these chapters, highlighting
Boogie was so good as
Beast
well.
into and of itself with regards to its ability to develop its world, develop its characters, and place them into the most interesting situations possible. But perhaps the most impressive aspect in this first bit of the arc is the sheer lack of any main characters present.
Yeah,
Neither the Straw
it's
Hats
all
nor
about
the
everything
Navy are
else.
seen very much at all for prolonged stints of time. Instead, large portions of time are set aside for characters like Ace and Whitebeard, who up until now
Because that's what it's
haven't
about.
received much screen time at all thus far. And this is awesome because Oda knows that we are invested in the story one way or the other, and so he can present the story in whatever way he sees
wants.
fit
Yeah,
as the best
like,
option,
dude, he could have done anything with it.
by the obligation to always have Luffy or the rest of the cast present at all times. Now that's quality, that's confident writing.
It is.
I'd love to see it. But
There's not a lot of shows that can get away with
this
that.
opening sequence is first and foremost there to serve two characters, with pretty much every interaction working on behalf of both of these individuals, including every flashback sequence, building our understanding of the inner workings with these two. But by far the most insightful being how Whitebeard demands to take full responsibility for Ace's pursuit of Blackbeard,
Yeah.
despite it being Ace's
This-
stubborn
yeah, it was his
rebellion with
idea
Whitebeard
entirely,
and
wasn't it?
advising him against it, recontextualizing Ace and Whitebeard's father-son relationship
Aw.
with a single scene. However, once Luffy does eventually enter the equation, he does so in typical Luffy fashion, falling out of the sky with a bang, crashing to the sea below.
He's there with Crocodile,
immediately
Jinbei,
inserting himself into the effort to save Ace, while
Mr.
also
3.
asserting his presence to one of the
Mr. 1 would
emperors
beat
of
them
the
as well.
sea in Whitebeard, who really just likes his spirit. Which
Yeah,
is
he's like, "You're cool."
awesome little scene. In it, there's a beautiful sense of progression and loss, while Luffy is asserting his determination to become the king of the pirates. All
Such
the while
distance as
Luffy
well,
is
it's like,
nowhere
I've gotta
to be
get
found.
there.
It's bittersweet to be sure, resulting, however, in a great snapshot and opportunity once again for Whitebeard's character to demonstrate his strategic prowess, taking a warning from Luffy, citing that Ace was going to be executed ahead of schedule and understanding it as a ploy on behalf of the Navy.
Trying to get everyone to rush there.
Them,
yeah.
Which he sees through and totally takes advantage of later. By the way, this arc made me love Whitebeard if I didn't.
Yeah, he's absolutely class.
Already. When I first saw him, I didn't really see much beyond a man that looks sort of sickly with stubborn ways.
Well, yeah, we won't give him much anyway, will we? That's literally it.
Arc, he is shown to be a strong man, both of body.
You knew there was a reason that everyone like scared him though.
First step forward and looks out for all of his crew as he does so. And it's not just Whitebeard we get acquainted with either. A lot of his crew, including characters like Marco, that I strictly like because of his awesome fire powers.
Yeah.
I might have a thing for fire powers. Pushing that to the side, however, we also have a fantastic set piece sequence wherein Luffy screams to his brother and their eyes meet. Luffy asserts that he will save him.
He's gonna get that. I'm gonna get to you.
Oh. In the first place, blaming himself completely as Luffy struggles across the battle-torn area. Another curious tidbit of passing information came in the form of the real Bartholomew Kuma having now died. And why this is interesting requires me to go over something I never touched on last week, which was that Eva's decision to help Luffy in that rescue for his brother came about specifically because he was a revolutionist.
Yeah, he's part of the thing, and so was Kuma.
To him, he was
so was Kuma.
Son of Dragon, someone he was sworn to, which on its own adds even more depth.
Because I'm pretty sure Kuma's last
but in this instance now in Marineford,
moment, he said he's never going to see you again when he teleported everyone away from Spodey, didn't he?
Revolutionary army under Dragon, which places him in the same spot Eva was in. Which now makes me understand why Luffy and all his friends survived in the archipelago all those chapters ago.
Yeah.
I love this story.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm sorry if this feels like I'm darting from cool moment to cool moment, but this
Don't blame
really
you.
is how
Do
the
not
first
blame
10
you.
chapters of this arc unfold.
Yeah.
From Buggy to Croc fighting Doflamingo to Luffy finally taking on Hawkeye, and that last one was super interesting, primarily because of what Hawkeye says right before he attacks him. I'm gonna leave that on screen.
Sorry, redhead, with his power there is no restraint. Now, fate, how will you deal with this heaven-sent boy with his life heaven-sent? It's like, whoa. So he knows he's destined for something.
It feels like Hawkeye is writing a character study on Luffy himself with this line. It's not his powers or techniques. He possesses some quality that makes others want
To help him, yeah.
And in these waters, that is the most formidable power of all. Which is so true, but it's also before he knows the full extent of how special Luffy really is. More on that later. If things already didn't feel like there was a tremendous sense of occasion, then the next sequence of scenes will fix that most definitely. The pacing in this arc...
Oh my god, look at all that! There's so much going on!
Consequences and everything becomes more and more intense.
I like Smoker keeps coming back in little bits and bobs because he's had a lot to do in the Punk Hazard stuff.
All the video transmission snails to be cut off, and that's when this happens.
My god. Just annihilation.
Anyone reading this story at this point knows how formidable these thick boys
Yeah,
are.
they are so powerful.
Army of them pressing forward, the feeling of dread becomes all the more apparent.
Yeah.
The design of Kuma for a role specifically like this works insanely well. These cold-blooded
As soon as you see them, you know some bad stuff's going down.
Standpoint and a character design standpoint, expressionless without even the ability to see the
Intimidating.
eyes of the character. These mechanical monstrosities march forward with the same emotionless malice any machine would.
Yeah.
Because of that, their army feels like all the more like a force of nature. But that's not where things end. Whoa, no.
No.
The position they're pressing forward from and the timing of their unveiling comes as a result of Sengoku's strategy. While watching this arc unfold as well as Impel Down, I was constantly struggling to justify in my own head why the Navy wanted to execute Ace as much as they did.
Yeah.
Publicly. And this sequence sheds light on that very situation, knowing that someone with the lineage of Ace would draw the ocean's most powerful and dangerous enemies to
And then they can just wipe them all out.
Many people would perceive as only a negative, but Sengoku, in a stroke of strategic genius, saw the opportunity this situation uniquely presented that no one else saw. Having created a field of ice for the battle to take place, having now gathered all the pirates in one area, Sengoku effectively hatched the plan to eliminate all the pirates of the New World in one fell swoop, using the Kumas as a means of eliminating their only escape route.
If a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place to live.
But as I was saying, there's this intensely interesting game of chess taking place between White...
No!
Okay, stop. Listen, this isn't okay. I was just starting to love Whitebeard as a character.
Yeah, I thought this was like, whoa, wait, what? But no, it's okay.
Stabs him. What gives? One aspect that has been hammered home since the beginning of this battle and through Ace's flashbacks has been the treasured relationship and bond.
Yeah, he's like their dad. He thinks of himself as their dad, doesn't he?
Assuming very much a father-like role
Yeah.
within all of their lives, with Ace being a textbook example of someone who resented his biological father only to be accepted and adopted by Whitebeard, who has relationships much the same as these with almost all
Everyone.
of his
All of them,
crewmates.
yeah.
And if there was one aspect of Whitebeard's character that was stronger than his strategic ability, it would be his love and bond with his adopted children.
Yeah.
Though this proved to be an ingenious attack made by Akainu, who fed Squirrel a lie that
Manipulation.
Whitebeard his children to save Ace, leading to a successful attack on him, inflicting on the giant, smiling, tenacious pirate his very first wound of the battle. And if you at this point didn't already love Whitebeard, he immediately forgives
Yeah, he
you.
does. He's like, I'm sorry, it's fine. I understand why.
This just
I
brought
get
me to
it.
tears.
It's like,
It's a beautiful scene that's equal parts both loving
he's like,
and
but why?
tragic, knowing how horrible Squirrel must have felt for having done
To
this
do that,
to his
yeah.
father figure. The writing for Whitebeard in this arc has been carried out with such purpose and care that he honestly feels like the most realistic dad character I've ever read
Yeah.
about. So much of this man screams wisdom, love, and hard work, and I sincerely admire him as a character for it. In the space of 15 short chapters, Oda achieves this ludicrously effective father character that up until this point,
Yeah, we only
I didn't really know
learn stuff
much
about him in
And
this bit. Yeah, it's like,
just
it's so
pointed out
good.
more
So
than
well
the
done.
cool battle sequences or epic one-liners that makes Oda for me the best mangaka of the modern era by far and away.
Yeah,
That I've
he's
read the
so
work
good
of.
at this.
He's honestly got a gift, and he's not done with us for this arc either. Not by a long shot.
Nowhere
because
near.
The best stuff is still to come.
Yep.
The final struggle. This is where stuff gets really, really good.
Yeah, man.
Belaboring the notion that this is the single greatest war effort I've ever seen committed to the page of a manga, I want to make
Yes.
it known that the driving forces behind what makes this so incredibly effective is how well it implements goals for the audience and mixes those goals with interesting set pieces and character matchups, the likes of which we haven't ever seen before.
Because they've
in this
established
series.
how
All
powerful
actor-player
all
relationships
these
and
people are
techniques
leading up to
create
it.
So many wonderful subversions. This arc is without a doubt the result of an exceptionally well-told prelude. We all
Yeah.
know these characters, we all know their powers,
We know
and
what they're capable of,
understand
yeah.
all the motivating factors. This is the icing on top of this magnificent one-piece cake, and man, is it sweet.
Oh, mate.
This is the moment the Navy showed their true plan, however, erecting a circular blockade of steel walls around the pirates as they continue to get attacked from the rear by the advancing army of Kuma.
Look at that. I'd be like, poop in my pants.
The forces of the pirates are dwindling and in severe trouble. Ace is
Crocodile's so
ready for
sick.
execution, and Whitebeard is down.
Yeah, Crocodile wants to kill him, doesn't he?
This absolute mad lad.
Yeah, man.
What a terrific character moment for Croc.
Yeah, man.
Declaring his position in the war effort, screaming at Whitebeard to be the emperor he proclaimed to be, and to not be defeated by such a weak attack.
Yeah, it's like,
Encouraging him
come
to
on,
once
there's
again
no way
regain his
someone
footing
as
and
weak as
lead the
you
charge
beat
in
me.
the war. And once
You're
again,
better than
like
this.
the monster he is, Whitebeard urged the assault on Orga's forces to advance alongside Luffy and his crew, with even Ors Jr., who became injured earlier in the
Oh,
confrontation,
keep going.
to help one of the walls.
Yeah, bring it
However,
forwards.
despite all of this tenacious energy and effort being exerted by the New World's forces and Luffy, the young pirate recognizes that he won't be able to make it in time at this rate. He needs a plan to get closer.
Gotta get there.
And through sheer genius, they utilize a technique that was established in the prior arc, shooting and erupting from the battlefield far below, lands Luffy right
Hell
before the three
yeah.
admirals of the Navy.
Oh my
Unflinching,
God.
ready to attack and push past anyone he needs to in order to save his brother. At this time, Whitebeard's forces managed to push past the gap created by the mortally wounded child of Ors, and the battle that ensues between Luffy and the admirals highlights once again how utterly unprepared he is to be in this situation, possessing within him more heart than perhaps anyone in this battle combined. Despite having tremendous intentions, he isn't able to do this without the help of everyone's combined effort.
Yeah.
And unable to get past the forces of these
Dude, it's the three admirals, man.
Navy, all Luffy can do is watch as Sengoku gives the order and Ace accepts his fate to be executed.
Not just yet.
I'm sorry. Is it a hot take for me to say that Croc is the MVP of this war?
Hell yeah.
Because he totally is.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And
He's
I love
sick.
it.
He's so cool.
Frieza fight with Goku to save Vegeta. But again, if not for the efforts of Croc at this last minute and the eventual reinforcements Whitebeard and his crew offer, Luffy would have most definitely been taken out there and then. And to be honest, even with their help, he pretty much was. With Whitebeard there and then trying to bench him,
No.
Which is something Whitebeard can't help but once again admire about him immediately. During this lull in the action, Marco tries to make a move for Ace while the admirals are distracted and the other forces...
Because he's not very noticeable with those
This is when
colourful
we see
wings.
some of the most visceral emotional conflict from the arc. Garp stands in the way of them rescuing Ace, the
Yep.
boy he raised. On his face, you can see it. The conflict
He is
expression of
struggling,
someone
man.
who doesn't have conviction in the actions he's
Struggling
taking.
in there.
Right, wrong, family, duty. Swirling around his head, forming a cocktail
What
of
do
doubt, the
you
likes I've
do?
never seen before in One Piece, which was a super interesting dynamic to shine a light on. And as Marco's Phoenix crashes to the floor below, the situation worsens. Whitebeard is gravely wounded, and more than that, is in an incredibly compromising situation.
He's so
Marco was
freaking
in a
tough.
Admirals are all dominating their respective adversaries, and what's more, Luffy's adrenaline boost given to him by Eva
Oh, yeah.
is no longer sufficient to overcome the fatigue and injury his body has
Yeah, but doesn't he
sustained
ask for
over the last
more?
few
He
arcs.
asks for more, doesn't
Because
he?
of that, he asks him to once again use his power
Yeah.
to give him the strength.
And it's like, nah, that's gonna really,
his
really
lifeless body to do
screw you up, man.
needs to be done. And the back and forth here once again encapsulates Luffy as the hero of the story in a way that is so true to his character. Throughout this entire saga,
He doesn't give
Luffy
up.
has been losing, failing to
Yeah.
save the people he wanted to save, losing his entire crew while he himself was completely helpless to make the smallest difference. It's for that specific reason he was relieved when Hancock offered him the option to save the three women in
Because he got to
Amazon
save somebody.
Luffy absolutely
Yeah.
will always choose to save his friends at
Yeah.
great cost to himself. And this instance is no different. Knowing full well that the second sudden surge of adrenaline into his body could kill him, he demands
He doesn't
and
care,
orders
yeah.
Eva to do it anyway, citing that he couldn't live with himself if he didn't do everything he could possibly.
Come on, Tim
save
Curry,
Ace.
give me the
And
boost.
With that, his wish is granted, and his body becomes overcome with power and purpose.
Rah.
Luffy explodes
Away.
and surges with unbelievable speed.
Oh,
towards
mate,
Ace,
yeah,
dodging
he just
and every obstacle that stands
bashes
in his way.
him down,
His
doesn't he?
friend Kobe, whom he without hesitation knocks to the floor.
I thought that was class. That was sick. It's like, ooh, what's gonna happen here? Oh no, he's out. Never mind.
Strength from Luffy, he still won't make it. And once again, Ace prepares himself for
No. Oh yeah. A hacky.
This made me cry. This utterly beautiful moment, a snapshot in time.
There's a lot of emotion there.
Made me cry. The sheer build-up and explosion of action that left me in awe, but also because thematically it works just perfectly. There I go using that word again. Luffy's literal love for his brother manifests within him and brings out this hidden power he isn't aware of in order to save Ace, his brother, from the clutches of those who would do him harm. I love this series. I don't know how else to
It is
say
incredible.
It's impossibly good.
It is.
Here it
One Piece is
And
just
this moment is it. The singular pause in time, the chance they need to turn the tide in this war, to save whom they came to save. As Whitebeard bellows, back up Luffy the Straw Hat with everything
you've got, yeah.
And with the combined efforts of all the warlords on their side, including Croc, all the subordinates of Whitebeard and himself included, Eva, and even the sudden assistance from Inazuma, it takes every last person giving it
get
their
him there.
absolute, unmitigated all to give Luffy a single second's worth of chance to get into position. But once again, someone stands in the way of saving
his grandpa. This was cool because he hesitates, doesn't he?
The emotions on display are so much more complicated and rich than I ever expected them to be. Having only been introduced to Garp after Enies Lobby properly, his role within the story has been limited. But
Yeah.
the light this saga has shone on him and his character has made him, especially in this instance, an incredibly touching and moving character. One that has dedicated his entire life to the line of duty. And now when faced by Ace and Luffy at the same time, he moves to stop the young pirate whom he raised. But in a moment of pure love for his grandson, he can't bring himself to do
He can't do
what
it.
he's been trained and conditioned to do all of his life. In this moment, we watch an old, grizzled man.
He just takes the hit.
And it's soul destroyed. But
Yeah.
there's no time to waste. And this story doesn't.
He just
give
takes the
me a
hit. It's like,
single
oh,
clue
it's like, nah, he let him.
The key to uncuff his brother Ace, Kizaru, out of nowhere in the middle of
No!
the shoots the key to pieces.
But
Now what? I'll
Mr.
tell you
3.
what, Oda's a bona fide literary genius, and I'll fight anyone who disagrees with him. He utilizes Mr. 3 to create a shield from the incoming Sengoku and creates a wax
Yeah, the key, yeah.
now falling to the ground below, the gallows collapsing.
Oh, it's so epic.
It's the single most cathartic sequence I've ever in my life read through.
When they start working together. Yeah. All right.
When I saw that beautiful Fireboy explode from those cuffs and land alongside his brother Luffy, I honestly felt
Mate.
something akin to a panic attack.
And Three's just in the background like, ugh.
Look up the word awesome in the dictionary, I'd find some dumb definition that has scientific backing. But in reality, all we need is this image.
Yeah.
This fight, man, while brief, gave me everything I needed and more. We get the banter back and forth between Luffy and his brother. We get to soak in Ace's fiery greatness as he poses up a storm. We get to see two of them experience battle together and do combination moves together.
It's sick. Absolutely sick. Look at that. The manga panel I just thought was just like, yes, this is it.
And man, do I love every single radiating second of it. To say that I was giddy at this point would be inaccurate. I was at the time of reading this irresponsibly happy, as I annoyed pretty much everyone around me while going through it. But as is the case with all good things, eventually they have to come.
Oh mate, don't even do this. I can't.
They need to escape on. With his bare hands stands the mortally wounded Whitebeard.
Yeah, man. No, Whitebeard. No.
And Admiral Magma
No.
starts
No.
blustering insult after insult towards Whitebeard. That Ace takes specific issue.
Oh
And the very
no.
same thing that led him to being captured, his inability to let something go, causes him to get burned by the Admiral. Something neither he nor us thought was possible. You'd be forgiven for believing that this was a story with a light-hearted conclusion. One that has been earned and built up to effectively with a tremendous climax. And it has. But this isn't one of those stories.
No.
This arc and really this entire saga is about failure.
Yeah.
Experience
Oh my god, no.
The climax at the archipelago. We observe a new goal in saving Luffy's brother
Oh.
Ace against impossible odds. We watch as Luffy, through sheer will and determination and a kind heart, bends the world around him for the better in order to save his brother's life. But just as suddenly as he was freed, he's torn away from him, never to be by his side again. Killed. In this arc, we observe the worst moment of Luffy's life, and it's painted right across his face. This hits so powerfully because of a narrative technique incorporating contrast and anticipation. For a scene like this to glean an emotional response from its audience, be it negative or positive, it needs to take its viewer or reader from one mindset into another contrasting one quickly. For example,
This really took me by surprise, this.
moments where I cried with happiness, as we go from moments where we think hope is all lost to
Oh, your
shocking
name.
revelations of success.
That was
We
nice.
anticipate something bad to happen, and it's then we get shocked when presented suddenly with the opposite.
Yeah.
Our minds are surprised by what it's seeing, and therefore the perfect setting is created for an emotional response. But in One Piece, something I've been meaning to talk about for quite some time, but never found the perfect place to discuss it, has been how death, or the lack of death, is dealt with in the series.
Yeah.
This is something I've noticed all the way through the series, but it became an issue for
It doesn't
me
happen
first
often, but when it does, my god, it's
during
powerful.
the Alabasta arc,
Yeah.
where Usopp had his skull literally crushed by a super heavy baseball bat. This bothered me because, in theory, if he was just a regular person, similar to the way we are on Earth, he'd be dead.
Yeah.
Like, super dead. But obviously, because this is fiction, Oda can do what he likes. He can create all of these characters and make them all super durable if he so chooses.
Yeah.
And they absolutely are, recovering from what would and should be certain death in a matter of days. This, however, for me, presented another issue. So, we have these characters that are ridiculously durable, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And they can heal like slow Wolverines. Cool, that's totally cool.
Okay.
But one problem that this presents is that the viewers and readers now don't have a fundamental understanding of what can hurt
Or what can actually
should
kill the
these
characters, right,
individuals.
okay, yeah.
And so when I see Oda literally shattering Usopp's skull and for him to shake it off in a couple of days, I am then not worried at all about Usopp during the vast majority of Enies Lobby.
Right.
Because I know Oda will be consistent. And for the bulk of One Piece, Oda has almost gone to tremendous effort not to kill people. They are either knocked out or run away, which again is totally fine, although in moments like Alabasta or Enies Lobby, with the various enemies and side characters it had, I thought death would have been appropriate for certain instances, and felt like the story was sort of lacking something in that specific regard.
Yeah.
But then we get this moment. I love this scene. Not necessarily because I felt the loss of Ace personally, but because I knew that this is the worst moment of
Luffy's life, yeah.
That shift you felt there from me pointing out something negative about the story to suddenly praising it is that very technique, but in miniature and much less effective.
Yeah.
It's about contrast and shifting values. As I've been saying throughout this video, this arc has taken a specific focus in helping us understand the backstory of Ace, which in the series has established a pattern of presenting flashbacks as being an indicating factor that we either can expect to see more of this particular character or to see him
I
join
hope
the
so.
crew entirely, but more specifically that they definitely won't die. They'll get hurt, but they can't die. And so when Ace is freed and fighting in glorious fashion,
It's like, yes, they've done it.
We go from a point of euphoria full of hope with death being impossible to a sudden stark wave of reality hitting us as we adjust to the impossible suddenly being very possible.
Very possible indeed, yeah.
Happy to sad, magic to reality. The death of Whitebeard. I think Whitebeard in this series represents a presence, but more so an idea. He's a story, a way of taking on the world while keeping a strong sense of togetherness and family at the forefront of our minds. At the
It's like,
beginning of each book, he's
this is like the new era now. Whitebeard passing is like passing on the legacy to the new age.
Dies. His era is now over,
Yeah.
and what's to follow I can only imagine is much colder and infinitely more dangerous. What's strange also is that had the story of One Piece been about Whitebeard, it would have been a story where the real treasure was the family and friends you
They
make
met along the way, yeah.
That's just who
Oh
Whitebeard
mate,
is.
I'm so sorry guys. I'm
Is honestly a monstrous, imposing man that despite being taken to the brink of death and losing half of his face, refuses to
yeah, he's still going with his face visit, isn't he? It's like, what?
crew, his family. Also a small but noticeable recurring motif I recognize in this section that I meant to draw attention to in my Enies Lobby review were these text fields that are dotted all around the story of One Piece. They
Yeah.
read like the writings of a textbook or that of a storyteller speaking
Yeah,
about
as if it's
time
being
that has long
told
since
to us,
passed.
yeah.
In this particular instance, it reads, even in death, even with half his face gone,
He would never fall.
he would never fall.
Yeah.
He will forever be
And
remembered as a monster for the way he
there's a
destroyed his
story
enemies that day.
about a
In
Japanese
this one battle
man
alone,
who
he
died
suffered
standing,
267 sword wounds,
and it was based off
struck
of
by
that, wasn't it?
152 bullets and 46
Jesus
cannon
Christ.
blasts. And yet, neither that mighty body nor his pirate spirit suffered even one coward's wound. To me, this says that the story of One Piece is being recalled or told. So in other words, we are hearing perhaps a retelling of this story,
Yeah.
and that also possibly all we've experienced is essentially a flashback telling the story of Luffy's life. This obviously hasn't been confirmed, or maybe it has, I don't know.
I mean,
And
quite
it could
possible.
very well
Or maybe it has, yeah, like I'm missing
Now, it
stuff as well.
certainly felt that way to me, climaxing on a quote that echoed throughout the pages of the manga in equal parts hopeful and epic, as Whitebeard exclaims in his dying breath, "The One Piece exists,"
Yes.
signifying the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. And these two deaths, Ace and Whitebeard, serve as a massive loss in the story due to their significance to the two cornerstones of One Piece. The death of Whitebeard is a massive loss to the world of One Piece. The loss of Ace is a massive loss to the main character of One Piece. Both hold enormous significance and importance within the wider story, and what consequences there'll be thereafter. And speaking of
Oh,
consequences,
mate, nah. Blackbeard, you absolute asshole. He's an absolute genius.
Really interesting symmetry between Blackbeard and Luffy that becomes abundantly obvious in this arc specifically. Both having come from relatively humble beginnings with a singular focus to follow their dreams with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
Understanding the full scope of what Blackbeard hopes to achieve in this arc rocks the very foundations of the One Piece
Everything.
story to its core.
Everything.
Hijacking the scene immediately and unloading a barrage of bullets onto Whitebeard, leading to his ultimate death. But perhaps the most significant aspect of what Blackbeard does in this arc is this.
Oh, mate.
For the very first time in One Piece's entire story,
History.
maybe even its history, Blackbeard has become the wielder of two very powerful devil fruit
Meant to be impossible.
abilities. With this being sort of unprecedented territory, I wonder if he's even less susceptible to water right now. Maybe not, but regardless, this acts as an incredible seed to be planted that sets the stage for the future of this world. But following these events, even
Because you think with Whitebeard dead, like, that's that power gone, but then no, Blackbeard comes along and is like, I got it now.
Blackbeard also convinced some of the worst, most dangerous pirates pirates
from the bottom of
impel
Emmy's
down
lobby.
to join his crew.
Emmy's
This is
lobby.
when we get a
Impel
glimpse of
down, yeah.
something we haven't seen since Skypia. Kobe starts freaking out that all the people around him are fading away. They're dying. He seems to have
I like this because he's like, there's no point in fighting anymore. It's over. Stop.
Awful way. Luffy is totally out of it, having been lifted away to safety on Trafalgar's submarine, even dropping his hand in the process. And the forces of the pirates are pretty much spent here also. And right as Kobe was about to be taken out,
Shanks. My
started his journey
God.
as a small kid with more dreams than he had
Oh.
since. Luffy throughout One Piece has grown stronger, taken down obstacles, built a reputation for himself, and made countless friends over his adventures.
Yep.
But beyond anything I've mentioned in this video, what this arc managed to achieve more effectively than perhaps anything else has been that feeling that the more things change, the more they stay the same.
End of this war.
The first
Yeah.
chapter story being that of Shanks showing up at the last minute to make the save for a very young Luffy.
Yeah.
In this latest installment, rounding out hundreds of chapters worth of growth, he still needs to save the young, headstrong kid with more dreams than he has since. Even managing to perform the same gesture by giving him his hat yet again, because Luffy isn't ready. The war-torn battlefield, bloodied by the bodies of those that had fought bravely that day, can now rest in peace as Shanks declares that the war is over.
Yep.
I do not have words to describe how perfectly structured and paced this war was.
Because now there's so much stuff going on afterwards as well. It's like, whoa.
Or provided further incentive to carry on the story. And so, let's do that.
Oh yeah, the flashbacks with Sabo, is it?
Post-war arc. For anyone watching my reviews that have not experienced the story of One Piece firsthand, I can't recommend this series enough, and no matter how flowery my language or how well I describe events that take place, it's not a replacement and won't compare to the vibrant and rich world Oda's created. And that's not even touching on the magnificent character and story writing that fills the pages of Jump's biggest seller. But for those among you that prefer to live through my experiences, I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize in advance for how utterly ridiculous this upcoming cliffhanger is going to be. To describe briefly what takes place within the parameters of this short post-war arc, all I need to say are three separate words: perspective, training, and future. Kicking things off, we pick right back up after the events of the prior arc in a similar fashion to how they kicked off the last one, with the focus fixed on the various communities and gatherings of people who have been watching it on large screens around the world.
Yeah, it's like, what's going to change now?
The pirate community. There's plenty of celebration, and there's some speculation as to what this could mean for the future among everyone, except one.
Oh, mate, nah. Nah.
A substantial portion of this arc is spent exploring the past of Luffy, specifically his childhood as he meets with Ace for the very first time, answering questions I had about how and why Shanks had never met the kid before. Garp had left Ace, you see, in a foster care, and we find this out as he leaves Luffy there to get stronger with him.
It's okay.
Immediately, Luffy gravitates to Ace despite his insistence on being left alone and wanting nothing to do with him.
Yeah, Ace is constantly just go away.
Luffy would try to follow Ace, who was then 10 years old, to play. But day after day, despite making it farther and farther into the forest each time that Ace would escape into, Luffy loses him. Until one day, he follows him the entire way through. The dynamic on show here through this interaction with Ace, not wanting to be around anyone due to his own childhood, coupled with a less refined, more childish version of adult Luffy's personality. There's a raw, honest childishness to these interactions that are dotted throughout. In this story also, Ace has a friend of the same age called Sabo.
Sabo, that's one,
yeah. Been gathering treasure so that one day they both can become pirates. Luffy expresses his desire to become the king of the pirates.
I've had things spoilt about Sabo through the fact that Funko Pops have been released, so it's like, plus there was a clip in that Too Spooky video I watched as well. I was like, oh, okay.
Oda presents me with the single most heart-wrenching image I've ever seen in One Piece. In that moment, Luffy gains the respect of Ace, but moreover convinces him that he genuinely wants to be with him. Ace has grown up with people hating him for existing, and Luffy, in this scene, because of who he is...
Yeah, he just refuses to tell them where the treasure is, doesn't he? It's like, no, I'll say anything.
Beautiful and tragic sentiment that adds
oh, we gotta think about the Celestial Dragons in this as well. Oh, I hate them, I hate them.
Me to retroactively lament and cry over the scene even more than I already have. On this adventure, Ace, Luffy, and Sabo make a brotherly bond, citing that they will all sail the seas one day to become great pirates.
Yeah, he was rich, wasn't he? Yeah.
But when Sabo's aristocratic past catches up with him and his father forces him away from Ace, and ultimately into running away from home, his boat is shot by a celestial dragon, killing him. Once this is found out, Luffy and Ace's bond strengthens, as we watch them grow into themselves.
I was very, very shocked by that. I was like,
what?
Whoa, that's so friggin' brutal.
For the very first time, now with full context for these
But then
voyages.
obviously,
Even though this wasn't particularly sad, I found myself welling up as I watched Luffy set sail again from his home in the East Blue. It's sort of overwhelming to think about where this kid came from.
Yeah, he's had a lot of bad stuff past, and he's so upbeat.
Everything the series has shown me up to this point. This little story adds so much color to an already vibrant tapestry of a world Oda has already created.
Yeah.
Creating and reinforcing what could be now my favorite character in all of fiction, Luffy. There's so much to adore about this character, but the main focus of this story, without getting too much into things, is how both Ace and Luffy need to grow stronger to achieve their goals, to protect those they love. And by the time the flashback ends, both Ace and Luffy significantly have grown incredibly strong, and you can see this on their faces of how sure they are as they each shove off for
They both know they're going to be pirates and they're going to do good things here.
Decade-long endeavor Luffy has been on to master his abilities too, but as Luffy's modest craft launches from his humble beginnings into what we now know becomes a massive adventure, we cut back to the grim reality he finds himself in.
Too weak. Yeah.
If that isn't heartbreaking, I don't know what is. Highlighting quite effectively the stark contrast for us between the Luffy that left that day and the Luffy that lies both physically and emotionally broken before us now. Still beating himself up, Jinbei finally intervenes, stopping him
like,
from
come on,
doing
stop
more
it now,
harm
mate.
to himself. Luffy, throughout this interaction, doesn't even resemble the same upbeat person who
No,
would look
he's completely
influential
different, and
into
it's
the
so
future
sad to see.
without him. He's full of anger, resentment towards himself for not being enough, on top of grieving the single greatest loss of his life. These are new feelings for him, and it looks like he's about to lose himself in them until Jinbei points out that he has something important to live for, that he isn't alone.
Yeah, the rest of the crew.
Luffy silently counts his fingers. Each one representing someone that depends on him, that loves him, and that he loves too. And with that, a new energy riles up in the young, bruised pirate as he exclaims, This dealing with loss and reconciling it into a healthy outlook is not only a terrific story to read, but also an important one for anyone dealing with loss and grief, which at some point will happen to all of us. But this is where the story starts to get interesting. Even more interesting than it already has been. Planting more seeds than I can count, forming a massive swerve, the likes of which left me in the single biggest cliffhanger of my life. Really surprises everyone swimming up to the island of women that Luffy is currently on, and presents the Straw Hat with a proposition. The scene then cuts, and we don't know what his plan was. It's at this point we see the Straw Hats in individual scenes.
Yeah, we start seeing them where they're at, which I thought was really cool.
Different circumstances, but all with the same goal of reconvening with their captain, whom they know must be hurting incredibly at this moment. Like the rest of the world, they've been aware of what's been happening with regards to
2 years?
isn't
that he changed?
But as they are making their individual arrangements to head towards their agreed upon rally point in the archipelago, something comes to their attention.
Yeah, he
Luffy has returned to the spotlight once again.
Yeah, doesn't he go back to Marineford?
Have found themselves in have been really interesting too. Usopp's in a
Rings the bell so many times.
Chopper's in a rather advanced civilization, although their appearance might be a little bit deceptive. Zoro is, get this, in Hawkeye's island. Nami is on a sky island that has advanced weather technology. Frankie finds himself on the island of one Dr. Vegapunk, who I think is the one responsible for the Kuma clones, I'm not sure. He is captured by 4-elbowed freaks, and Robin somewhat auspiciously finds herself in the company of those that want to bring her to Dragon as a friend.
Yeah. Sanji is the Okuma.
At this point, we still have no idea as to what Luffy has done, and as the story continues, we get a host of short scenes. Duval has been keeping the Thousand Sunny safe.
Yeah, he's been looking after it.
Her father and Crocodile all react to what Luffy
I like that we see what happened to them afterwards.
Sengoku retire, making room for the next generation. Aokiji and Spoker both react also to what Luffy has done, but perhaps the most interesting, we get a small look at Kobe, who demonstrated Haki power. In this short but illuminating scene, we get information that apparently every naval personnel, from Vice Admiral and up, all have some form of Haki ability. But once that scene comes to a close, we finally learn
Kobe's
what
meant to
Luffy,
like
in fact,
be
did
something
to grab
decent,
the
man.
attention to remain hidden, go into hiding and to pretend to be dead like the Navy already expected.
But now it's a message.
But instead, Luffy rocks up to Navy headquarters where the war has just finished taking place as it's under construction. All the naval personnel are away, by the way, because this is the last place they would expect anyone to be.
Yeah, like why would anyone come back?
In this stroke of genius, he commandeers a ship, sails around the island in a circle before ringing the bell on the island 16 times.
Yeah.
Apparently the bell he rang is called the Ox Bell, and to ring it 16 times is to signify thanks for the prior year and prayers for the upcoming one. It's only carried out by the Navy, and for Luffy to be...
Oh no, isn't it slightly different? He does it that many times to mix up a message.
That the new era has begun.
Yeah.
But what makes this interesting is when each of the Straw Hats see this article on the paper, they all come to the same conclusion.
Yeah, because they see the tattoo.
Instead, focusing all their efforts on training to become stronger. It's
2 years
revealed
time.
that this entire stunt of his had one specific purpose: to send a signal to his crew. The picture that was taken of Luffy taking a moment of silence sees a marking on his arm that reads 3D 2Y, with the 3D crossed out.
And now it's 2Y.
The Straw Hats had agreed to reconvene at the archipelago in 3 days, but with
Now
the
it's 2
3D
years.
crossed out, it seems the new plan Luffy has instructed is 2 years to get stronger. What a ridiculously brilliant way to communicate a specific message to your crew. To say that I freaked out when I read through this section is an understatement of the highest order, and it's perfectly in keeping with the through line of the story right now. Luffy hates to be alone and away from his friends, but he
knows what he
extend
needs to
the
do.
waiting
Yeah.
period if it means that they are going to be safe together once again someday. And with the crew having decided what their respective training and preparation should be, Luffy follows Rayleigh into the forest where he begins training. As the old pirate
Using his haki.
explains to Luffy about the power that dwells within him, providing super interesting exposition that adds context to what already surrounds Ace's death and what Luffy needs to do in order to master the now known to us 3 different types of haki. Words cannot express how utterly giddy and enthralled I am by what I've just read. This is, without a doubt, the greatest story I've ever read in my entire life.
It's
and I can't imagine
incredible.
anything coming close in my immediate future. There's an absolute reason why this series, why this story is so infectiously popular. It's got more heart than most stories out there and has so much more ambition in its telling than I've ever been exposed to. The narrative and poetic symmetry in this story and this very chapter serves to me as a perfect example of why planning your story offers so much in terms of payoff and
Really
emotional
does. This is
significance. It's why I never
perfect.
stopped loving stories.
Oof.
They are the only place where magic actually exists, where good triumphs over evil, and where we can all escape to whenever our daily lives become overwhelming. You can take a small child full of dreams and through his eyes take us on an adventure the likes of which can uplift us and fill us with satisfaction. And so, despite my eyes full of tears, despite my excitement and sense of loss here, I couldn't help but smile as I watched Oda sew the very last stitch in the masterpiece of a tapestry he's woven over the course of what was then 13 years of work.
Damn.
This is an incredible and special moment in what I've come to understand as an incredibly special story. At the end of my second video covering this series, I confess that One Piece could very well be something I can appreciate but never fully love as much as those that grew up with it.
But
and while I can't compare my enjoyment to anyone else's, this series has, on a fundamental level, changed how I view storytelling, and has seriously helped me through some really tough patches over the last 3 months. I'll be taking my short break now, so in case YouTube forgets about me, if you all do want to see more from me, maybe subscribe and hit that notification bell in case YouTube doesn't show my videos in the future when I return. But this most definitely isn't a goodbye. It's a see you later. So, until we meet again, guys, I've been Totally Not Mark. I'll see you when I see you, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your days to share it with me.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm sorry I cried so much. That's embarrassing. But it really did. I remember reading the bit with Ace, and I was sat there, my girlfriend was in the bathroom having a shower, and then I'm absolute bawling my eyes out, and then she just like walks out and it's just like, what's up with you? I'm just like, don't even. Oh mate, it's so good. It's so good. Like everything is just and seeing Luffy struggle so much is so hard to see. Oh my God. And yeah, like I did a live stream the other day, and I was just kind of like, I don't see how any other story within One Piece can actually top that. But I was assured that stuff does happen, no spoilers, which I was very appreciative of. So I'm like, yeah, I'm loving it, absolutely loving it, and I'm glad I checked his review out, because I forgot a couple of things, and I'm glad I got reminded. Like, I forgot that Kobe actually used haki, so that's obviously going to be something that's going to play into the story somewhere down the line. Kobe is a very, like, plotted around character. Like, no one's just written in randomly. Like, he was there from the very beginning. He was the first person Luffy met, and then didn't join the crew, went off to be in the Navy. So it's like, huh, that's really, really cool. So anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link is in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask to help support the channel. Greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys. As always, guys, next time. I can't believe I cried that much. I am so... Anyway.